What's going on, everybody? So, I'm going to make an upload about Republicans too. So, I don't want anybody to think that their side is going to be picked on and or excluded. Vice versa with the other side, okay? So, this upload, I'm going to talk about the problems I have with Democrats as a whole. And I'm just going to talk about how I stand on them. Democrats, from what I've dealt with, now this does not speak for all of them, but I can honestly say 90% of them are like this, that I've dealt with at least. They think they're morally superior to you, and they think they're smarter than you, and they'll talk down to you, especially if you're a minority. Okay, I consider Democrats to be far, far more racist, and I consider them to be far more dangerous racists than I do the Republicans. Because you know what? One thing I can say about every racist Republican I've ever met is they're the kind of person that'll call me a nigger to my face. If they got a problem, they'll call me one to my face, right? But everybody I've ever known that was a Democrat, they would talk to me like I'm stupid and didn't know shit. And they don't try to talk to you and have a civil discussion with you. They're trying to educate you all the time. And if you're a minority and they don't think that anybody of a minority demographic is actually smart. They think black people are the dumbest things ever. That's what I've gathered from how they talk. And one thing I can say I've noticed, and this is just what I've noticed from people I've dealt with, nobody likes Democrats at all. Independents don't like them. Republicans don't like them. Third parties don't like them. The only people that like being around other Democrats are Democrats. That's it. Democrats only want to be around each other because they don't like anybody but each other. Matter of fact, the Democrats don't even like themselves because they constantly fight within their own party. Don't nobody like Democrats, not even Democrats, right? Now you get the Republicans, don't nobody really like them except for Republicans, right? Independents can be a little more tolerant to them usually because, quite frankly, Republicans don't treat everybody else like they're the goddamn enemy. They don't treat everybody else like, yeah, you're this and that, you're the enemy. They don't do that so much. Like, they do it, but not to the extent that Democrats do. Republicans, they need to hear at least a few things before they start saying that, and you need to really disagree with them on something very serious. Whereas Democrats, on the other hand, if you disagree with them on even one thing, no matter what part of the Democrat Party it is, no matter which wing of the Democrats it is, you disagree with a Democrat on one thing, they assume you're a Republican. They don't consider that you're an independent. They don't consider that you're a third-party voter. They don't consider the possibilities of that. They assume you to be a Republican, no questions asked, right? And then when they start saying all that, now all of a sudden you're a racist. Now all of a sudden, you don't even have to say nothing racist. All of a sudden you're a racist. If you say, like, for example, if you criticize Biden, the first thing will come, well, what about your boy Trump? What did your boy Trump do? I don't give a fuck what Trump did. He's not the president. I'm talking about the current president, right? I don't like either party. Okay? When you go into Democrats, also to me, they're nothing but a bunch of crybabies. Like, you can call Republicans crybabies. They have their moments of it. And trust me, I'll talk about that in my next upload where I talk about them. But this is about Democrats, okay? They are bigger crybabies, okay? They are much bigger crybabies. Because you know what? Here's the thing. Honestly, I'm not going to get into election and all that and about if it was stolen. I'm not going to get into all that. Not now. I'll make an upload for that one myself also in the future, okay? But to be real, this is my opinion here. All Democrats do is blame the other side. Now, there does need to be bipartisanship. When they are trying to force bills through without the other side debating, and just force it through thinking, oh, we got the majority. Oh, we have the majority. Everything should go our way. And then things don't go their way. Now, all of a sudden, they got a problem with it. Now all of a sudden they got a problem and they're blaming Republicans for it. Well, maybe sit down at the table and make some concessions. That's how our fucking U.S. Congress is supposed to work, right? They don't want to do that. Instead, they would rather not do that and then just say, oh, the Republicans are blocking this. That's probably my biggest problem with them, is that. And then third-party voters, too. The way they treat third-party voters is just disgusting. Okay, people get shamed for voting third party. They don't get shamed nowhere near as much as like they would get shamed by a Democrat for voting Republican. But Democrats still blame 2016 on independents for the most part. They dropped the Putin thing for quite a bit. A lot of them dropped the Putin thing. But they all still do that shit of blaming third-party voters for Hillary losing. Well, you know what? Maybe your party should stop having a our way or the highway, all or nothing platform and actually change it up to try to cater to independents and third-party voters. Maybe the Democrat Party should do that. Okay, when they get mad because Republicans use the filibuster or because the filibuster exists, okay, all Dems are doing are showing how fucking hypocritical they are. Because guess what? They literally used the filibuster over 300 times during Trump's presidency. Yet now they have a problem with it because Republicans have it, right? Come on. How fucking hypocritical are you? Everybody saw you doing that fucking filibuster shit. Hell, you've got the fucking Democrats in Congress doing nothing but political theater right now. I mean, all this January 6th commission is political theater. Okay, honestly, that's all it is. Nothing's going to happen from it. No one's going to... Okay, people are going to go in on the subpoenas if they do, and then they are going to plead the fifth, not do any kind of testimony. Democrats are going to try to impeach for obstruction again, and it's going to get thrown out again. Just like it... Well, not impeach, but they're going to try to say obstruction, and it's going to get thrown out just like it did during the impeachment. That's all that's going to happen. It's not going to accomplish a thing. Nothing. When you... Here, let me step through. We've got bikes coming. Okay, so check this. That's all that's going to happen is it's going to get thrown out because people use their rights, and you can't impeach and you can't call it obstruction because somebody used their Fifth Amendment right. Okay? Now, that's another problem I have with Democrats, and that goes into a very authoritarian kind of mindset too, is the whole mindset that I've noticed 90% of them have, where it's, if you're not doing anything wrong, you have nothing to hide. Why not testify? If you're not doing anything wrong, why not do that? Right? Those rights exist for a reason. Those rights exist. They're not going to go away. If they do go away, then there's going to be a lot of people fucked over because those rights are gone. Now, Democrats, here's an example of how you know they don't care about the minority communities they pander to. They talk about Black Lives Matter, they talk about gun control, things like that, but they don't think about what that gun control shit is going to do in neighborhoods like this. They don't realize how much that gun control is going to empower corrupt policing. Okay? During the war on drugs and shit like this, cops have been known during searches for planting fucking crack on people so they could arrest them for it, right? So now what's going to happen is they're going to catch somebody that's a felon. Now what happens? Cops are going to plant some shit on them so they can arrest them, just like they used to with crack. That's all it's going to do. It's not going to do anything to stop the criminals. Nothing whatsoever. And that's only going to make black communities have more problems because the Democrats passed some stupid shit that honestly just empowered more racist policing despite all of the pandering they do about racist policing. That's all that's going to happen. All that they do is pander and make empty promises. They don't follow through on shit. Don't follow through on shit. Where's the reform at? Where's the reform? That's what I want to know. And they haven't done it. You know, there's a reason, and people can say that, you know, larger cities, larger crime, shit like that, right? So this is state and city level legislature. This is not something that is handled in the U.S. Congress. Democrat-ran states cannot blame Republican states or Republican governors or anything like that for the fact that, honestly, most of these police killings that have happened to people that should not have been killed by police and shit like that have been in Democrat-ran states or Democrat-ran cities. Or if it was a Republican-ran state, you can look at the demographic of voters and see it was a Democrat city. I challenge you. I challenge anyone. Matter of fact, every viewer here, I challenge you to show me 10. I think 10 is a fair number considering how many it's been. 10 of them that happened in a Republican district, Republican-ran city, where the cops did this shit. I'm not saying state. I'm saying in a city, because the city legislature is what is the one that needs to address this. So show me that. Let's see. I want to see it. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But I can't think of too many. Off the top of my head, I can't even think of any off the top of my head that have really been in a Republican-ran city. There might have been one or two that I don't remember off the top of my head, but all I remember them happening in are Democrat cities and Democrat states. So Philando, I'll just name some of the high-profile ones even. Philando Castile, St. Paul, Democrat-ran city. George Floyd, Minneapolis, Democrat-ran city. The ones happening in Chicago, Democrat-ran city. Okay, there's a pattern here, okay? And it's a thing that the only cities I've seen where it's been a recurring thing that happened has been also in Democrat-ran cities. If I'm wrong, please show me. I'd love to know. I'd love to be corrected. But why is it that they can pander about it, but they can't do any of the necessary reforms to fix that? It's their cities. Am I wrong? Yeah, this dude was just like, yeah, you're right. But okay, they can pander about the issue, but they can't actually pass the reforms they need to pass, even though they are the city legislators that are pandering to it. And they're the ones who have the city legislative power to do something about it. That's what I mean when I say it's nothing but pandering. Okay? And they only do that to get votes. They only do it for votes. They don't do it because they're sincere. You know, Democrats also believe that they are entitled to minority voters. They believe that. Now, I'm not going to get too much into this because honestly, I just want to cut this. I think I've said just about enough, but here's another good example of this. An example of Democrats only just thinking that they are entitled to minority voters was during the 2020 election when Joe Biden said, and I quote, "If you're not sure whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black." That was an extremely racist thing to say. When Democrats see a black Republican, they call them Uncle Tom. They call them a race traitor. They also do it to third-party black voters. Black third-party voters also get that treatment. If you're a black individual and you do not vote how Democrats want you to, they call you a race traitor and an Uncle Tom. And I've dealt with that from them countless times. I have never had a Republican call me an Uncle Tom or anything of that sort because I disagreed with them. I have never had that from a third-party voter, except for niggas in the black community that really, they ain't into politics anyway and they don't really vote, okay? You know, but that should just about cover it, and I will be making one about Republicans too. Peace.